after I left. Well, I think this most stupid, or the stupidest place of all to change the religion is in the masjid. I mean, you can't be more stupid than that. The masjid. If this is what has come with us from Allah and His Messenger, it should be preserved. Which brings us to the khutbah. The khutbah should never, ever, ever, ever have been changed from Arabic. Who caused us to change it? Dajjal gave us modern Western civilization, which then sent, because of its new military power, sent its armed forces around the world at the point of a sword to occupy and then colonize and then transform. Particular target is the Muslim world. And when we had been targeted, then Arabic, which was the lingua franca of the world of Islam, the way English today is lingua franca of the world, Arabic, which was the lingua franca of the world of Islam, that you could go to China and you can go in the masjid and you could understand the khutbah. You could go to Congo. You could go to Jakarta. You could go to Lahore. No matter where you went, you could understand the khutbah because it's one language. Now, when I go in Malaysia to the khutbah Jummah, it is in a language called Bahasa. And I have to learn Bahasa to be able to understand the khutbah. Yeah? And I guess you had to learn Chinese to understand the khutbah in Chinese, and you have to learn English to understand the khutbah in English, and you have to learn French, vous parlez français, to understand the khutbah in French, and then you go in Caracas, the khutbah in Spanish, and what have we done to the religion? So in the masjid of the Muslim village, it's better we close down the project. It's better we close down the project. If we have in the masjid other than this arrangement that came to us from Allah's Messenger, the men in the front, the women in the back for salat, no screen in between. You don't like that? You can stay in Johannesburg. Don't bother to come. And number two, that the khutbah is always in Arabic. If we have the permission to give Salatul Jummah, otherwise we'll have to leave the village and go somewhere else for Salatul Jummah. So this is what we plan to do to try to recover what was Islam. Bid'ah Hasana and Bid'ah Sayyi'ah. It is a contentious subject, and there are those who beat the drums of Bid'ah. This is Bid'ah, and that is Bid'ah, and that is Bid'ah, and that is Bid'ah. You know what's coming now? Hey, let me see your wallet. Isn't this Bid'ah? And what about the Hajj? I thought La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah was enough to qualify me to perform the Hajj. But now I understand I got to apply for something called a Saudi visa. But I never did that for 1400 years, and yet my Hajj was valid. How come I have to apply for a Saudi visa today? Is that not also bid'ah? Etc. So the subject is bigger than the narrow confines that you have put it into. Are Gog and Magog, are the Jews aware of Gog and Magog? They don't talk. They keep everything under wraps, the Gog and Magog people. The Jews. When a Jewish parent in Cape Town takes his son out to the University of Cape Town and sends him to join the Israeli Defense Force to do 2 years or 1 year, killing Palestinians, and he comes back home, they don't have a big celebration and announce it on the Cape Times. No, they do everything very quietly, very quietly, very quietly. So it's difficult for us to know how much they know and how much they do not know. But Allah assures us in the Quran that they plan their plans and He plans His plans. So no, regardless of what planning they have, we know that Allah is the best of all planners. Yeah. Are they Gog and Magog the Zionists? Of course. In my first edition of my book on Gog and Magog, I made a mistake, and I am happy that I made the mistake, so that those who come after me could see that if a scholar makes a mistake, he's only human. This is scholarship. And when you make a mistake, you must be man enough to say, yes, I made a mistake, and then correct yourself. That's scholarship. Yeah. So in my first edition of the book on Gog and Magog, I came to the conclusion, based on the hadith, that Gog and Magog are going to shoot their arrows up into the sky and say, we've killed those who are on earth, now let us kill those who are in the sky. That Gog and Magog must have that technology for what is today called Star Wars. And I said, Russia qualifies and NATO qualifies. So I was led to the conclusion that this is Gog and that's Magog. It was only after I wrote the book of Gog and Magog, which was about 5 years ago, that I began to understand what they did to Russia. That they attacked Russia in 1917. This was yesterday's lecture. It was a Zionist attack on Russia in order to destroy Rome. And so long as they had control over Russia as the Soviet Union, the Bolshevik Revolution, they went over time in killing the scholars, the priests of Rome, the Orthodox Christian Church, destroying the church. And this was Gog and Magog. This was Gog and Magog, the Soviet Union. Not Russia, the Soviet Union. And when the Soviet Union collapsed and communism collapsed, then the whole of Gog and Magog over Russia is now weakening. And Rome is extricating itself from the grip of Gog and Magog. So I've corrected myself in the second edition of the book. And I say that Gog and Magog are precisely the Christian, the Zionist Christian and the Zionist Jew alliance in the Zionist movement. Yeah.
The other question from...
That's it. I've answered all. Oh. Far Ain and Far Kifaya, we're going to postpone that. Yeah.
Inshallah. So we'll proceed with the next round of questions. So I'll take one from the floor, one from the international. Proceed.
Shukran, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Abdul Karim here again. You said, or can I call it, one of the problems that we are sitting with today is or some of the ulama who are misguiding us or misleading us. Now, obviously, there are also scholars of Islam. How do we, as a layman, or what is our responsibility to bring them to their senses, and how can we bring them to their senses? I know one of the ways would be, it's actually each and everyone's responsibility to learn the Quran and Sunnah. And then we will be able to see when we are being misled. And obviously most of us, we are not scholars like they are and so on. So what else can we do to ensure that this misleading of the ulama, or some of them, comes to an end?
Yeah. If we can have one of the international question from Dinesh.
Malala, pertaining to the history of the Ottomans, the question is, do you think that Gog and Magog controlled the Ottomans from the very onset of their rule, or were they only penetrated at certain instances with some of their expeditions?
Yeah.
This question is from Macedonia.
Okay, shukran. And then there's one question I'll take from the written editions. According to the hadith, the first 10 verses of Surah Kahf protects us from Dajjal. The question is, how can we practically recite them in this period where Dajjal was already released but not in human being form? I assume, meaning, how can we conduct that on a weekly basis or daily basis?
Okay. How do we, what strategy do we use with the ulama to try to wake them up? I wish I knew the answer. I think I'm going to have to ask you to help me, because I've tried everything that I could possibly try. And I've been doing it for the last 15 years, I guess. And I failed. Take Sheikh Ali Mustafa out of that, please. I failed. Even with those ulama for whom I have great love, and I have great respect for them, and a great admiration for them, and recognize them to be heads and shoulders above me in knowledge, heads and shoulders above me in piety. These people